Seb Fred, who was the executive producer of Assassin's Creed back then, originally when I started working on the franchise, on the brand, he had invited me, he says, "Oh, I'd really like to have you on the brand." Okay, sure. To do what? And he's like, "Well, you know, we're planning on maybe doing this game set in the French Revolution. We'd really like to have your ideas and maybe have you lead that up. But we also have this thing where Ezio's story isn't really finished. So maybe, you know, if you're interested, you know, you could maybe do this. And then eventually, once the other team is ramped up, you know, shift on to that team." All right, sure, fine. And that's exactly what happened. And this is like back in 2010. Revelations was a project that we, as developers, we really wanted to put out there because we felt that Ezio needed an ending to his story. It was a great challenge. It was the first Assassin's Creed game that I was actually working on, but we had very little time to do it. Plus, we had the bulk of the AC team working on AC3, but at the same time, we wanted to bring new people into the brand. So we formed a new team, which is now the Black Flag team, actually, mostly. We try to keep people that work well together, because they just work better and better. That being said, the AC brand is a huge family, right? So we're more or less interchangeable between the projects because everybody has the brand really at heart. So essentially, the paradigm for Revelations was that. It was, you know, we have about 10 months to build this game with a team made about 2/3 of new people and 1/3 veterans. So that was the whole challenge. Trying to bring it to the AC level of quality to tell this story that we really wanted to tell.
And you must have been pretty fried by the end of that experience.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's always a challenge because, I mean, you really want to get everything in until the very last minute until they just close the floodgates, right? Like, and you try to make this as perfect as you can. So we drive ourselves to that level because of, you know, striving for perfection. But it wasn't that bad. You know, in retrospect, I mean, I was tired. I needed a little bit of a break, but, you know, I've seen worse.
You had enough of people complaining about the tower defense stuff?
Oh, yeah, exactly. See, that put my mind away from all the problems of production.
So you actually left Ubisoft a little bit after that then, right?
Yep.
To work at an advertising agency?
Yeah, I mean, it was, when I was finishing Revelations, they approached me and they had these ideas of essentially, they wanted to bring transmedia storytelling to the type of work they do. And they had no idea how to do that. So for me, it was a challenge. It was like, I had known nothing about advertising. I know about storytelling. I know about transmedia storytelling, especially with Assassin's Creed. I felt that I needed to do something that sort of got me out of the gaming industry to see new horizons, find another way of understanding the consumers, the people, so that maybe I could then take a step back and come back here with new knowledge. I think it was my first day that I was back. Somebody on the brand team just called me up for a coffee and said, "Yeah, you know, you're back. Could we, you know, we might, you know, want to have maybe lunch and talk about a few things." And I'm like, "All right, okay." And I think it took you know, maybe a couple of weeks before I started, you know, shifting back towards AC. I'm the type of person that sort of likes to try new challenges. The challenge of Revelations was all about shipping a really high quality game that ended the trilogy of arguably one of our most iconic heroes in a very short time. This is a completely different challenge. This is, okay, you have a lot of time. We have a lot of people that have worked on the brand for a very long time, but what we need is to create something that we've sort of never done before. What is the next generation of Assassin's Creed? So for me, I mean, it's like an unresistible challenge. Creating an Assassin's Creed game is a weird thing. It's a very challenging thing because, first of all, these are huge games that span a lot of different categories of games that are typically just games unto themselves. The scope of the game is huge. The people involved, there's a lot of people, and we have multiple studios. The skills needed to creative direct an Assassin's Creed game are quite specific, but at the same time, your aptitude with each of those different required skills is different for each creative director. You have creative directors that are very systemic inclined, so they're very strong with the actual inner workings, you know, under the hood of the game systems. Others are more about narrative. Other ones are more about the actual mission design, layout, stuff like that. All of these skills are essential for a creative director on Assassin's Creed, but you don't need to be a 10 on all of these simultaneously. It's just really your specific aptitudes, and the people that you then choose to work with you will make you feel and look well-rounded. Obviously, if I had to talk to all of these people individually every day, I mean, I'd have to live on another planet because the day certainly isn't long enough. So the thing is, You surround yourself with lieutenants or leads or directors that are very competent, that are passionate, that know what they're doing, and then you trust those people to then trickle down to other people that are also talented and all that stuff. My personal philosophy for leading is I like to provide a box, an outline. As long as that outline is respected, then whatever happens inside, as long as it keeps the shape, I'm mostly fine with it if the quality is high enough, because I like to take a step back and look at the actual wall you're building with these bricks. If all of the bricks are shaped as they're supposed to be shaped, the wall will hold and it'll look like something. Lucky enough, we have people that are extremely professional and, again, talented and motivated, so that usually isn't a problem on this brand. Sometimes, and this is I think a great truth of making video games, your destination needs to be known very quickly, and you should never, or under very specific situations, maybe shift that, but you should never shift it. In reality, it should always remain constant. However, to get there, most people think a straight line is the easiest path, or the most effective path of reaching that destination. But actually, when you're making a game, it isn't, because games are very specific types of problems that there's actually a name for these. They're called wicked problems. You can research it on Wikipedia. It's a problem that has so many parameters and so many possible outcomes that once you've actually completed it, there is no way of knowing whether what you've done is the best possible solution to that specific problem, because it's impossible to backtrack. It comes from an immense number of variable parameters, like unexpected stuff, something that doesn't work, something you have to shift. It's a set of, close to infinite variables that you're always considering every day. Something that you're expecting doesn't happen, but there might be 20 different things that rely on that system. What happens when you remove it? Then you need to react. But had you taken another decision in that split moment, would it have been better or not better? Maybe the game would have crashed, right? So you never know. So essentially, the only way to operate in this situation is to keep that destination always the same, and then make sure to always adapt your path to avoid the obstacles to reach that. So if you're always looking and only looking at your immediate or small, short to medium term, it might look like you're actually sort of zigzagging, but in reality what you're doing is you're avoiding those obstacles, and this is the only way that I've found where you can actually get close to that destination. We've done this for a long time, and we've gotten it down to a science. People know. Maybe the first one it was like, oh, what do we do? But now, it's just our daily business. We've been lucky, and I think it's mostly because of the people that are behind the product. The AC people were a huge family, and we love this brand so much that I think it's unimaginable for us to ever let this ball drop. We need to always make the best game that we can possibly make. And so far, that heart and that level of effort and professionalism has always pulled us through.
Think you got another one in you?
We'll see. You can never ask a creative director that right when you're shipping, because the answer is always, oh, no, I'm done. But then, 6 months pass and you're like, well, maybe.
Another quick stint at an ad agency.
Exactly. Or maybe mountain climbing this time or whatever.